Hello Raiders! Today we're going to be going over the top 5 augments in Arc Raiders, in my personal opinion. But not only the top 5 augments, I'm also going to show you how to build them, how each of these augments feels, and what playstyles they suit. But also, as a bonus, we're going to share some of my favorite weapon combinations. If you're out there and you're just looking for weapons or not sure how to build them with the right attachments and what weapons go well with what, stay tuned in this video. And another consideration for the weapons, I didn't really pick a lot of like epic crazy weapons that are like hard for people to get. These weapons are pretty much middle ground, easy access across the board, and you shouldn't have trouble getting a hold of any of these weapons. There's not going to be any crazy like Tempest Bobcat loadout, so no worries there. But let's get into it. Top 5 augments and how to build them. So coming in at the number 1 spot, it's no surprise, it's the Looting MK3 Survivor, largely considered by the entire community to be the best augment, because when you're down with this augment, as long as you're staying stationary, you regenerate your health up to 75% of your maxed down health. Comes with a formidable carry weight of 80 kgs, 20 slots to loot, an augmented slot that you can use for zip lines or mines, and 3 whopping safe pocket slots. And also you can equip a medium shield with the Looting MK3 augment. So why is this so good? It's good because the very fact that when you get downed in Arc Raiders, that's usually a death sentence with any other augment besides the Looting MK3 Survivor. If you get down with the MK3 Survivor, there's still a chance, especially if you got down by like Arc doing some PVE, there's a good chance if you're in friendly lobbies that someone can come by and defib you eventually, or you can make a very, very long ass crawl to either a hatch or an exfil, depending on your map knowledge. And even in PvP, if you go down mid combat while your teammates are still fighting, this takes the pressure off your teammates getting a revive on you because you can stay down forever. But also, this gives you a chance to crawl away. Now, usually if you get down in like a 1v1 PvP fight, you're probably going to die on the spot unless they killed you in some weird place to where you were able to like fall into a bit of cover and get a decent crawl to kind of freak them out to where they don't know where you're at. But the thing with the MK3 Survivor, especially if you go into the skill tree here, and if you put any points into Crawl Before You Walk for faster crawl speed and Down But Determined, like when I do the reset, I'm literally maxing both of these talents out because they're so useful. Down But Determined makes it to where your bleed out time takes longer, and this just makes your crawl speed increase. So you have a really good chance of slipping away unnoticed, and in those moments where you just die to like Arc, you can still get away, and those crawl talents really help you crawl. There's also a little tech, like if you just tap on the W key, like gently, you can keep moving a little bit by a little bit and not actually go through your health. So that's a little hack with the Survivor kit. But this kit, whether you're doing PvP or PvE, is 100% the go-to, just for the very fact that when you get down, it's not a guaranteed death sentence, and there still is a chance for you to survive. Now, how do we build a Looting MK3 Survivor? Like I said, it's good for PvP and PvE. You can run a light shield or a medium shield. I highly recommend going with the medium shield. Always use in most situations, use the best shield you can afford that's readily available. This gives you 70 charge with a 42.5% damage reduction. A light shield only gives you 40 charge, which means for the first 40 damage, you're taking 40% reduced damage. But on a medium shield, for the first 70 damage, you're taking 42.5% reduced damage. Not only is it more damage reduction, but it's also more overall shielding. So a lot more damage with the heavy shield, or with the medium shield, is going to be absorbed. Now, as far as our weapons, what weapons do you want to lose with the MK3 Survivor? Well, this is where we're going to segue into the weapon talk. I'm going to share with you guys some great combinations, how to build them, and then you can kind of plug them in as you see fit based on your playstyle. I hit the mic there. Sorry if it made a loud noise. So what are my favorite weapon combinations? Well, whether you're doing PvP or PvE, the Venator is a obvious solid choice for a gun. Now, whether or not you bring in a second weapon is going to be map dependent. We'll talk about that here in a second, and I'll share with you my favorite secondary for the Venator. But Venator, pretty easy to build out. You want to make sure it's level 4. That way you have your maxed fire rate, but also you get a reduced reload time. But the important thing here is maxing this to level 4 will increase the fire rate by 40%. This is a very good gun for PvP. It's an okay gun for PvE, but if you're bringing the Venator, you're probably getting into more PvP style fights. As far as attachments go, put the biggest mag on it you can afford. And then I prefer angled grips for horizontal side-to-side bounce recoil control. Like the Venator, even without attachments, the recoil isn't crazy. You can put a vertical grip if you have trouble pulling down, but it's a lot easier to pull down than try to mitigate side-to-side bounce. And this gun does have a slight little bit of wobble to it, so angle grip here works fine. Now, are we bringing a second gun in? This is going to be map dependent. Now, if you are just on Actually, there's literally only one map that's an exception to this rule. So if you're on Spaceport, Buried City, Dam Battlegrounds, or Blue Gate, I usually bring 2 guns for these maps. Stella is the only map I'll bring just 1 gun because it's a smaller map. It's indoors. You usually don't need a severely ranged option, but on these outdoor maps, there's times where you just really want to have a gun that can just beam at some serious formidable range, especially Dam and Blue Gate, because there's a lot of just open terrain on the outside there. So having a sniper is really clutch with this build. And that's why my favorite attack gun to bring with the Venator is an Osprey. And not only that, because it's 2 medium guns, so you can literally just bring 2 clips of medium ammo and you are good to go, because the Osprey, the way you build this one out, best suppressor you can put on it, best mag you can put on it. You don't need it a mag 3. Okay, I take that back. Mag 3 is overkill for the Osprey. A mag 2 is fine if you got the springs, but even just a mag 1 is okay. You're really not going to go through your ammo on the Osprey that quick, because it is like 1 shot, hit, 1 shot, hit. The underbarrel for the Osprey is useless because you have to rescope, rechamber between shots. So the recoil is irrelevant for an Osprey. Don't ever put an underbarrel slot on your Osprey. But if you do find a underbarrel in game, you can put it on your Osprey just to save a slot here in your Augment. And the lightweight stock is literally what makes this all come together. Because you have the lightweight stock on it, you can bring this gun out super quick and you can put it away super quick. So it makes swapping between your Venator and your Osprey insanely fast. The Venator is already a pistol, so it has a pretty good weapon swap speed, no matter what you're switching to from the Venator. But with an Osprey, it takes like no time to pull out your sniper. So you can pull out your sniper, get a little snipe off, then switch to the Venator if they get too close. The Osprey is good for dealing with arc. I'll just wasps, hornets. I'll use the Osprey. I'll save the ammo from the Venator because it takes way less shots with an Osprey, and you can be way more accurate with an Osprey. So overall, this is a very solid PvP and PvE loadout. You can use this to deal with arc as well, but this is going to really excel in PvP engagements. And one of my favorite weapon combinations, because it's just 2 guns, you're covered. Short and mid-range, long range, really fast fluid weapon swaps between these weapons because of that lightweight stock. And you only need to bring 2 clips of medium ammo, so it makes it really simple when you're putting your guns together, because you just need 2 clips of medium and you are good. Trust me, you are good, because you're really not going to waste ammo with an Osprey. My second favorite weapon combination is the Stitcher and the Renegade. You're noticing a trend here. Short range option with a long range option. Now this one is going to be more focused on PvP. The Renegade, you want this with the silencer on it, because a lot of times when you're using this, you're out in the open. So you want to try to attract as little attention as possible. The muzzle brake doesn't do much for you. The compensator is good on the Renegade if you don't use the right stock. If you're using like a lightweight stock, you can go lightweight stock with a compensator if you want to just pull it out and just beam really quickly. But suppressor with this stock for sure. Biggest mag you can get. Stable stock 3. What this does, it reduces the recoil recovery time by 50% and the dispersion recovery time by 50%. However, it does make your weapon swap speeds a little bit slower, and it takes longer to put your gun away. But this is going to help you keep on track. Like, I might hop into the practice range here in a second and show some of these guns out as like a little bonus. But right now my recording software stutters every time I try to record actual gameplay. So that's why I've been doing these more like menu tutorial videos in the interim until I can figure that out. But I might have to buy a new PC. Going off topic a little bit. The padded stock. Like, if you can't afford the stable stock 3, just use the stable stock 2. It's still pretty good. But what this does is whenever you shoot your gun, the amount of time it takes to reset and stay on target is drastically reduced. So you can get away with a stable stock and a silencer 2 and just keep spamming shots. Like, as soon as you're ready for the next shot, your cursor has already recentered to where you were aiming because of the stable stock 3. So this makes the Renegade fluid, and you can pump out hella shots. As always with all our guns, we want to get them to level 4 with the Renegade. You do get that 75% increased fire rate, and also the dispersion recovery time, but that's because of the stock here we have on it. And then for the secondary, I really like using the Stitcher with the Renegade. But the one downside, if you use the Stitcher with the padded stock, because this also increases the equip time and the unequipped time. So it's going to be a very slow weapon swap between the Renegade and the Stitcher. So you got to just be mindful of it. You can't just be gun-ho. This is more of like a balanced loadout. Like, if they're getting too close to you, bring out the Stitcher, but make sure you have enough cover, because it's going to be a slow weapon swap speed. If the weapon swap speed bothers you because you do have this stock on the Renegade, you're more than welcome to use a secondary as a Burletta. It's a pistol, it comes out quick. I love the Burletta, we'll talk more about it. But if that bothers you, I would recommend using a Burletta with the Renegade 2. Still fills the exact same niche as the Stitcher here. With the Stitcher, you want the biggest mag you can have on it. The 30 round mags are pretty affordable. 35 round mag is going to cost you some springs, but if you have it, go with the biggest mag possible. The padded stock, 15% vertical and horizontal recoil reduction and 20% per shot dispersion reduction, which basically means you can beam, like whenever you're using a full auto gun with the padded stock, you can just beam, and it takes a long time before that bloom shows. I'm going to really try and go to the practice range so I can show you guys this stuff. So we'll do it after I break down all these guns and see if my recordings aren't super choppy. But basically, this lets you beam with the Stitcher at a little bit of a further range than you would normally be able to, but also it keeps all of your shots on point where you're aiming. The padded stock is so clutch for the Stitcher. For the rest of the attachments, extended light mag 2, angle grip 2, compensator 2, you'll be more than good. Compensator 2 reduces, again, per shot dispersion and your max shot dispersion, stacking with the padded stock. This gives us vertical and horizontal recoil control. Like I said earlier, horizontal recoil is way harder to control. So for the Stitcher, an angle grip 2 is fine. You could go angle grip 3, you could go compensator 3. Angle grip 3 is going to make your ADS speed kind of shit. So I don't recommend it because we already have the padded stock, which nerfs our ADS speed by like 30%. So it makes it a little slower to aim in. So that's why I would just stick with the green grip here. And for the compensator, if you have the funds to go for a compensator 3, this thing will really, really beam. But as far as like overall consistency and being able to build multiple of these guns, you can buy a padded stock once a day from Taiwan. And I do that just to put this on my Stitchers and Arpeggios. Again, we'll talk about here in a second. But the compensator 2, really cheap, just 4 wires and 2 mechanical components to craft. The compensator 3 is like 8 wires and 2 mod components, so significantly more expensive. But for consistency, and because we're already bringing a pretty expensive gun in the Renegade, I usually like my secondary to be like a gray weapon like the Stitcher. Burletta would be fine. Those are still pretty cheap. Most expensive loadout here is probably the Venator with the Osprey, but this combo is just so good together. Like I'm not ignoring it, but you'll notice a trend here. Usually we'll have one expensive weapon and then our secondary will be something on the cheaper side, just because if we die, we don't want to lose a shitload of good goop. That's why I just can't get over that mental block of bringing like a Tempest and a Bobcat in, because it's just like that death would really, really hurt. And we're going for overall just consistency here. So anyways, PvP, PvE, really good for PvP. This will be okay for PvE. The Renegade is decent in PvE, but if you're bringing these guns in for PvE, you're probably bringing some grenades to actually deal with the arc, and we'll break those down here in a bit too. Number 3 on my weapon attachments here. Don't worry, we'll get to the other 4 augments here, guys. We're just got to break down these guns first. Arpeggio 4 with an El Toro 4. Now, people shit on the Arpeggio. People don't like the Arpeggio. And that's because when you upgrade to level 4, the fire rate's increased by 60%. You do get a reduced reload time, which is nice. But the main issue the Arpeggio has is that it shoots so fast that your weapon bloom gets really big, really fast, and makes it really hard to stay on target when you're spamming this gun to its max fire rate. But if you have the right attachments on it, this thing can beam at mid to long range pretty damn consistently, because again, we have the padded stock here. Arpeggio doesn't really have any horizontal recoil, so that's just a little bonus, but the 15% vertical recoil is what we're looking at, and the per shot dispersion is what we're looking at, because this will make that bloom a lot slower to get big and almost mandatory with the Arpeggio. Like I said, with the Stitcher, we can get away with the Compensator 2, but on the Arpeggio, you really need the Compensator 3. The difference is noticeable. This reduces your per shot dispersion by 60%. And like I said, we're spamming shots really quickly. So that dispersion, that bloom gets out of hand really, really fast. But with the Compensator 3, 60% reduction and 30% max shot reduction, and then another 20% per shot reduction here on the padded stock. This lets you beam your first 4, 5, 6 beams, staying on target with your bloom not too fucking crazy. You could always stop shooting, take a pause to reset your bloom. But if you just want to spam this gun, padded stock, Compensator 3 are mandatory. Like I said, the recoil on this gun is all vertical. So a vertical grip 2 here would be just fine. We're already using expensive attachments. We could go for the vertical grip 3. The only thing I wouldn't recommend is that the Compensator increases our durability burn rate by 20%, so we'll use the weapon a lot quicker. And then the vertical grip 3 also increases your burn rate, so you're going to go through your gun really fast if you want max vertical recoil control. But in my experience, the vertical grip 2 has been just fine. And then for the mag, you just want the biggest mag as possible. And then for our secondary with the Arpeggio, we're going with the El Toro, but we're building it out a special way. So the thing with the padded stock, it increases your weapon equip time. That's one of the downsides on it, and also increases your unequip time. So it's kind of a slow gun to pull out. Like the Arpeggio is pretty slow with this build to pull out. I think it's kind of a slow gun to pull out in general, but with the padded stock, it is really slow. But for the beaming, it's completely worth it. Completely worth it. But we want our secondary to be a gun we can pull out quickly. Now, if you build an El Toro out with a lightweight stock, which again, 30% reduced equip time and unequip time, does make your vertical recoil a bit heavier, but the recoil on the El Toro isn't really even that crazy because you kind of have the small pause between shots to kind of reset your reticle and your cursor. But this lets you pull out the gun really fast. So for secondaries with this Arpeggio in El Toro, if you want something for good close quarters, put the best choke you can on it. This is a 30% base dispersion reduction, make your pellet spread as tight as possible. If you can only afford the choke 2, that's fine, it's something, but make sure you have a choke. Make sure you have the biggest mag you can put on it. I just put a little baby vertical grip 1 here because the grips on the shotguns and the stocks, besides the lightweight stock, really don't impact the shotguns too much. It's mainly going to be the mag and the choke that you want to have filled with the best attachment you can have. And this is just a nice combo. Arpeggio for your mid to long range beaming. If they get too close and personal, whip out that El Toro, bro, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. But if you don't like using shotguns, again, for secondary here, you could use a Burletta as well because it's a fast weapon swap. And honestly, I do usually use Arpeggio with the Burletta because I don't play with shotguns too much, but I'm just trying to give you a fun alternative you can try out. Now, for the next loadout, Kettle with a hole cracker. This one is strictly going to be for PVE, but because you have the Kettle, not all hope is lost if you get into some PvP encounters or someone tries to thirst you and third party you. So the thing here, this is going to be like our arc killer gun set. Now, instead of the hole cracker, you could use a Jupiter, an equalizer, and a Phalion. All of these are fine. But the main thing with these big arc killer guns, the main weakness they all have is that they're pretty much useless for PvP. The Phalion is actually kind of okay in PvP. But the other guns are really hard to actually get any value out of in like PvP situations. So you're bringing these guns strictly just to deal with the arc. Now, Hole Cracker 4 increases fire rate by 53%. I think it's totally worth it. As far as attachments on the Hole Cracker, I just put a vertical grip 1 and a stable stock 1 because it has attachment slots, but they're not really going to impact the performance of the Hole Cracker all too much. This is just going to help us reset our reticle a little quicker and not have as much vertical recoil so we can just spam our grenades out on like a big target and stay on track. But really, you don't need the attachments. I just put brown ones in here because there's some slots and, it makes the weapon just a tiny bit better. But why I love the Kettle as my secondary for Hole Cracker, Jupiter, equalizer, a Phalion. It doesn't matter which one of these guns I'm bringing out. My secondary is always a Kettle. Because we got to plug in that niche. Because we're using a gun strictly for arc. We don't have a viable close range gun, a mid-range gun, a long-range gun, or a gun just to deal with the light arc. Because you're not going to use your hole cracker for wasps. It's kind of a waste. And then the little firewall burners and ticks and stuff like that. Kettle fills that niche perfectly. As far as building out the Kettle, again, padded stock here is goated. You're going to stay on track hella good with the padded stock. If you don't have a padded stock, a stable stock here is fine. The padded stock is way better on the Stitcher and the Arpeggio. Pretty damn good on the Kettle too, but you can get away with just a stable stock 2 here and be fine. You want to put the biggest mag you can on it. You want the Kettle at level 4 so you get a more bullet velocity for shooting at range and also a 40% reduced reload time because the reload on the Kettle is ass, especially at level 1. Again, angle grip 3 or angle grip 2, we want to control the side-to-side bounce. The vertical recoil we're not too concerned about. And then the compensator 3 is going to make your dispersion so tight on the Kettle that you can just keep spamming because the Kettle you have to keep clicking, keep spamming to shoot. This is going to keep you hella on target with the padded stock. This gun is just literally not going to move. You got 30% reduced, 40% reduced horizontal recoil, another 15 on the vertical and horizontal here with the padded stock. Whatever you're pointing and clicking on, it's getting hit. Close range, mid range, long range. The Kettle kind of fills that niche we need because we have one gun that's strictly for arc that isn't good for PvP. But we have a Kettle just in case someone tries to fuck with you or get up in your business. You can pull out the Kettle and deal with most threats at medium range, short range, long range, the smaller arc. The Kettle is the jack of all trades here, and why it is definitely my top pick for secondary for any of the big arc killer guns, being the Hullcracker or these legendaries we talked about. Very, very great PVE loadout right here, guys. And then my last favorite weapon combination, it's gonna be the Burletta with the Ferro. This is a bit on the cheaper side, so if you're on a budget and you don't really have any of these, the green and the blue guns, but you got a Burletta, I know you got a Burletta, and I know you can get a Ferro, this is the way to build it out. The Ferro is really fun. That's the pressure you can put on it. Again, under barrels are useless here. But the lightweight stock really is super clutch on the Ferro because you can equip this gun so damn fast and you get increased ADS speed. So you can literally pull out that Ferro, scope in, pop off, break a shield, or use this just to deal with the arc whenever arc come out here. This makes your Ferro you could just whip it out so damn quick and you can use it. Like if you're in PvP, boom, get that first shot with the Ferro, then immediately swap to the Burletta. The Burletta, being a pistol, already has extremely fast weapon swap speed. Extremely fast, guys. So, and then with the lightweight stock, reducing the weapon swap to bring out your Ferro and put away your Ferro, you can just switch between these guns so fast. Anything at range, you need to just get a Ferro shot off, a Wasp, a Hornet, a Player. Boom, pull out that Ferro. And then instantly, someone's getting too close, someone's pushing you, switch that Burletta really fast. How I build out the Burletta. Biggest mag you can afford, Extended Light Mag 2 is fine here, but if you can afford the Mag 3 is fine here. For the barrel attachment, I like to meme on my Burlettas, and here's my argument for this. Burletta doesn't really have crazy recoil control. It doesn't really benefit too much from a muzzle brake. A compensator is really good on a Burletta. A silencer is really good on a Burletta because it makes it super stealthy, super quiet. It literally becomes what the hairpin wishes it could be. But as far as like guns with the extended barrel, I only like the extended barrel on the Burletta. Because if you notice, like if you're trying to beam at like 30, 40 meters with the normal Burletta, you will notice how slow the bullet velocity on this gun actually is. But when you put an extended barrel on here, suddenly you can beam people at like 30, 40 meters with the Burletta with ease. So it's like you can pop somebody at range with the Ferro, whip up your Burletta for the follow-up shots. The extra recoil this gives you, 15% vertical, is hardly even noticeable because there's really not a lot of recoil on the Burletta to begin with. So I love putting my extended barrels on my Burlettas. That's just personal preference. But if you wanted to use a silencer or a compensator here, super acceptable. But the fun thing about this is that it's just two really cheap guns that just become really good with a lightweight stock and extended barrel, and the fast weapon swap speed. You can just switch to whatever you need in whatever situation. You know, someone's coming around a corner, boom, Ferro, pop them, boom, switch back to the Burletta. And that's going to be it for my 5 favorite weapon combinations. We do have the anvil here as well. And this one is a standalone mention. Like if you are just going in to goop, to loot, you're not really too concerned for PvP, you're mainly in it for the PvE, and you want to have as much inventory space possible as loot, including keeping your second gun slot open, the anvil is clutch because you can just bring an anvil in, you can bring a clip of 40 rounds, and you were just okay. You can use this to deal with whatever arc threats you come across. You have that extra slot to fucking get a gun from a security breach and fill it up if you're just trying to be a loot goblin. And actually, we will talk about that here in a bit. But the Anvil 4. Yes. It's the one gun, it's probably the best gun in the game that if you just wanted to bring one gun and nothing else, it's the Anvil 4. This can deal with arc extremely well, get it to level 4 for that 75% increased fire rate. But also, it's decent in PvP. Especially if you can hit your shots, you can get away with some solid PvP fights with just an Anvil 4. But it's not the best PvP gun, but it is very formidable in PvP. But it's a mention here that I have to mention because as far as like going in a game with just one gun, like all these are like duo combinations, but the Anvil, it literally just basically does it all. And it saves you all that extra space, and you only need to bring one clip of heavy and you'll be fine with your ammo. You don't have to bring like 2 clips of medium or medium and light. That's what the power is here behind using just an Anvil. So now we've broken down the guns. So let's just say we're building out our Survivor Augment. We're going to use a Venator and an Osprey here for our guns. Obviously, we'll want a couple clips of medium ammo to go with that. I'm going to leave the guns here for a second because I'm going to go in that trial range after we finish this Augment breakdown. But for our quick use items, what do we want to use here? Now, for me, slot 1, slot 2, and slot 3 are always mandatory, and they're always the same. Slot 1, you want to put your primary healing item in here. Like, it could be a Vita Spray. It could be 3 sterilized bandages. It could be 3 Vita shots. It could be 5 herbal bandages. Most of the time, I usually just bring 5 herbals because they're cheap, they're affordable, and they get the job done. Second slot, you got to have your shield rechargers. I always bring a stack of 5. Boom. And I always keep them in the same slots. That way, when muscle memory kicks in, I always know like where exactly to go to. Primary healing item, primary shield item. You don't have to have them in these exact same slots. Like you might have gotten used to having your stuff down here. Maybe you're like a weirdo or something. Doesn't matter. The point I'm saying with the quick uses, like always got to have one primary healing item, one primary shielding item. A stack and a stack is fine. For slot 3, this will always be 5 stim shots because the amount of times you die, especially out in the open, like you run out of stamina out in the open, some wasps get onto you, you're going to die. You're basically dead. You have no stamina. PvP fight, someone's pushing you, you're trying to run away. Use that stim shot to get away. You're trying to get across the map for a key room and loot something really quickly. You use the stim shots to get there. The stim shots are 100% mandatory and they're dead cheap to craft, guys. Let me show you how cheap these are to actually craft. For a stim shot, it's literally 3 pieces of plastic and 3 chemicals. I know you guys got a little plastic and a little chemicals out there. There's no reason to not bring 5 stim shots. They're dirt cheap. And if you needed to drop them for some reason for another item, it's only 1,500 value. They're super cheap, expendable. You'd rather have them and not need them than need them and not have them. The only map I don't bring stim shots on is Stella Montes. And in that case, if you are going to Stella with this kind of loadout, you can literally use this slot for a utility. You can bring like some smokes, some showstoppers for the shredders or the arc, an extra grenade if you want. This is your play slot for Stella Montes specifically, but any other map, bring these adrenaline shots. Now, for our first slot, this has to be a grenade that can do it all. Trigger grenade, snap blast grenade. These are probably the go-to grenades because not only are they good for PvP, they're also good for PvE because you can throw 3 trigger grenades on a bastion, blow it up, then finish the rest with your guns if you want to get one of those big kills. Same thing with the snap blast. You can stick them with 3 snap blasts. You see a Surveyor vault running around, you can just stick them with a snap blast. So I really like trigger grenades here or snap blast grenades. Whether you're going in for PvP, these are useful for PvP, but if you're just going PvE and someone's trying to like push you, you can just chunk a trigger grenade, blow them up, do some damage, and then just run away and use it to kind of cover your escape. Same thing with the snap blasts. Snap blasts are easier to use and easier to craft. Trigger grenades do require processors, but snap blasts are literally only magnets and crude explosives. So these are the cheaper option. They still get the job done. They fill the same niche, but this grenade slot here has to be something you can use for PvP and or PvE just to make sure you're safe in your raids. And then that brings us to the last quick use slot. I do have a couple options here. If you're more focused, I mean, even if you are going for PvP, 5C grenades are just dead useful because there's times when you're in your PvP engagements where arc will start to swarm you when you're just trying to focus on the fight. That's an annoying situation to be in. But rather than just pulling out your gun and shooting the arc, which is going to take some time, you could just throw some C grenades. These one-shot these one-shot wasps. And they can occasionally also one-shot snitches. It depends on the angle they get hit at. If it hits it like on the side, like the little armor bumpers, it'll take 2 secret grenades to kill a snitch. But if you hit it dead on the core, it's a one-shot kill to kill a freaking snitch, especially like you focus on a fight, you get swarmed by some arc, just chunk a couple C grenades. They're super cheap. They're just crude explosives and arc alloys to craft. So I would always either bring 5 secret grenades here. If you don't want to bring secret grenades in, bandages. Bring a stack of 5. I know there's only 4 in this stack, but I always have bandages. And this is kind of a new thing I've done over like 500 hours in this game. I used to just bring like 1 stack of healing items, but frequently that's not enough. And there's those times where you just like fall and you take like a small little bit of like fall damage. Like, you don't want to use an herbal to heal that. That's why it's nice to have bandages. Now, you can keep them here in your slot 5. Like, if you're not interested in bringing secret grenades out and you're trying to be as cheap as possible, you can literally just bring the bandages in. And if you do want to bring the secret grenades, I would also still recommend bringing bandages in. You can put them in your safe pocket. You can put them in your main backpack. The thing is with bandages is that they're dirt cheap. They're perfect for when you just take that chip damage and need to top up on your health bar. And if you find better loot, you can just drop the bandages. You can throw them away. You don't need them. They're $1,000. They're super cheap, super affordable. You always want to have a stack of bandages with you. And then the cool thing about the Survivor Augment is that you get this augmented slot. If you're on a big outdoor map and you want to traverse it, I'd recommend bringing 1 or 2 zip lines here. But if you are just trying to play safe or you're just looking for a cheap option, my top pick here is actually going to be gas mines. Because they are so cheap to make. Let me show you how cheap these gas mines are, guys. 4 chemicals, 2 rubber. They're literally cheap as fuck. Now, granted, gas mine isn't going to kill anybody, but the reason why you're using these gas mines is you want to if you're like looting and there's like 2 entrances into a room, you can put a gas mine on one of the doors just to give you that audio cue. Someone runs through, the gas goes off, that person won't have any stamina, so they're not going to be able to rush and push you. And you'll also get that audio cue to know like, oh, there's somebody there. Somebody tricked off my gas mine. That way you don't die in some stupid situation. This isn't going to do anything for the Arc. This is purely just for being safe, and they're literally 810 coins for a stack of gas mines. You could buy them from Apollo, and they're super cheap to craft. So if you're not interested in bringing more expensive stuff like jolt mines, explosive mines, zip lines, you can just bring 3 gas mines because you have the slot, and there's no guarantee that you'll even find, like if you leave it blank, there's no guarantee you're going to find a zip line or a mine to put in that slot. So you might as well at least bring a couple gas mines just to be a little bit extra safe. And the other great thing about the Survivor Augment, you get these 3 safe pockets. We haven't even touched on these safe pockets. I always, if I'm doing any kind of raid, assuming the hatch isn't disabled, so like, you know, like locked gate or like night raids or like electro storm, so there's no hatch keys, you don't bring a hatch key here. But every other time, I always bring a hatch key. You want to have the option to dip out of a hatch. You don't want to get ratted into public exfil. You don't want to be halfway across the map and then the last exfil is like 30 miles away and you only have 3 minutes left on the clock. Having the hatch key just gives you the ability to basically just leave whenever you want from like any spot on the map. Granted, there's not hatch keys everywhere, but there's enough hatches on most maps that you can just dip out safely. They just require sensors to craft and advanced electrical components, which you can make in the refinery. So pro tip, if you want to bring a hatch key all the time, you can literally just farm sensors. Every time you pick up sensors, pick up your sensors. And now the other cool thing with the looting MK3 Augment is you do get these 2 extra safe pockets. So basically, if you want to use your snap hook, you can bring a snap hook in the safe pocket, bring it out when you want to use it to get somewhere, and then whenever you're in the snap hook animation, just switch it back to your safe pocket so you don't lose it. And if you're just like trolling, like maybe you're like wondering like, oh, maybe I'll get a chance to kill a big arc, you can bring like a wolf pack, a deadlight mine. You could leave these open if you're looking for loot and you want to put them in your safe pockets. But if you're just trying to play and maximize utility and bring some good shit in without being worried about losing it, MK3 Survivor, 3 safe pockets. You could bring a snap hook in. You could bring a wolf pack in. But in general, I would say for a standard MK3 Survivor loadout, it's going to be looking like something like this. Ignore the guns here. Ignore the guns. All that's empty. But just your 2 guns, some ammo. This will take you far, and you'll notice a trend. Like our quick use slots aren't really going to change based on augments. For the most part, they're going to be the same. As this has been a really, really long explanation, and we've just touched on the first augment. So now, without further ado, guys, we are going to hop into the second augment, unless I can actually get a decent clip of me in the round, and I'll show you these guns a little bit more, and then we'll get to the other 4 augments. I know we've been just talking about guns this whole time. That's why it's a combo video. We're doing the top 5 augments and weapon combinations. All right, guys, we're here in the practice range. I'm going to apologize in advance. Like, I already know, like, when I rotate my camera, there's going to be a little bit of stutter on the gameplay, but I'm going to try and just showcase some of the weapons. As long as I'm, like, looking straight, I don't think it's going to be too bad. I don't know why my recording software is doing this, but the first load I was talking about was the Venator and the Osprey. So basically, Venator, this is what it looks like. As you can see, a little bit of vertical recoil, a little bit of side-to-side bounce, but that angle grip really does help kind of keep us on target. Because you can see there is a little bit of wobble to the Venator, but what I was talking about with the lightweight stock is just how fast we can pull out that Osprey, scope, and then switch back to the Venator. Beam. Pull out that Osprey, scope, rechamber, sorry. Scope, rechamber, scope, rechamber, and that's kind of how you want to be dealing with the arc when you're using this augment. You just want to be using this because it's ammo efficient. Aim for the thrusters, try and just boom, take out the thrusters, that way the arc can't fly. And you can basically, even in close range, like I use this to like no scope, like if someone's about to peek a corner, I'm just ADSing and then I'll pop, switch to the Venator and just finish them off. But yeah, that lightweight stock, like I said on the snipers, it's super noticeable here. It's just nice to be able to switch between your sniper and your primary gun. Hella fast. And the Arpeggio here, I was telling you about this with like the attachments and how they kind of help with the bloom. So basically, as you see, if I'm beaming right here, actually, I'll take these attachments off real quick and I'll show you like how crazy this bloom is. You see how big that circle got so quick? Like, it literally makes the gun so inaccurate when you're not controlling that bloom. But when you have the padded stock on with our compensator 3 here, different story. Look how tight that is. We're literally going at max fire rate, and that shit is on target. And that's why this is one of the guns where comp 3 with the padded stock is mandatory in my book. Let me grab some more medium ammo because I'm guzzling through it. But then also, like, at range, you know, you're not really supposed to be able to beam at range. Also, pro tip, if you want to tighten up your dispersion even more, you can just crouch. But as you can see, like, look at that. That's pretty fucking far away, guys. We'll run back a little bit further. Oh, I know it's going to stutter here. But I'm going to hit that test dummy here. What are we at? 40 meters? Let's go to 50 meters. We'll go to 50 meters. I'll show you. So this is standing, and then we'll do a crouching. As you can see, pretty solid compared to the base Arpeggio, but if we're shooting at this range, there's no reason to not be crouched, and this is true with any gun. You always want to crouch just to tighten up your recoil. It's like this hidden game mechanic that nobody knows, but if you're crouching, your dispersion gets significantly tighter. So now we'll do it crouched. And as you can see, we can just beam and stay on target at like 50 meters. The Arpeggio is not supposed to be good at that range, but anything closer than that, you are not going to struggle at all to hit your targets, guys, like this. That feels good. And then because that lightweight stock, you know, we have that Arpeggio out. I told you it takes a long time to pull the gun out, but we got that El Toro, fast weapon swap. Don't have any ammo in it. Oh, let me just load this up real quick. Let me load up this bad boy. So now let me pull out the Arpeggio and I'll show you kind of how slow it is, but we have the lightweight stock, so it's not as slow, but it's still kind of slow. If we didn't have a pistol or a gun with a lightweight stock, the weapon swap between the secondary and the Arpeggio would kind of take a while. But that lightweight stock really helps with the equip time. And then you can see like that choke tightens up that spread quite a bit. Definitely is some noticeable vertical recoil. Honestly, if you wanted, you can go a little bit heavier on the vertical grip. I might switch to vertical grip too with the lightweight stock, just because there is that bit of vertical recoil. But you can also just run around and hip fire, and it's really not too big an issue. Just got to make sure you pull down a little bit when you're aiming. And then also, same thing is true with the shotguns. Actually, no, it's not. The shotguns don't tighten when you crouch. It's just for all your other guns. I'm finding that out right now. But anyways, let's go to the next weapons here. Again, Kettle with the hole cracker. I don't have any hole cracker ammo, but I'll just show you how this thing beams with these attachments on it. Like, we'll go here. We'll look at something in range. I'm not even going to crouch. I'm just going to be standing. As I'm like missing every shot, but you can see that bloom, it never really gets to max. And anything close range here, like your Kettle is just like, I'm not even really pulling down on my mouse. There's literally just like no recoil on this gun. And then if you want to crouch, you could be way more of a sniper at a range. But yeah, as you can see, it's just, it purrs, guys, it purrs. Now, let me take these attachments off, and then we'll see how bad a normal Kettle is without any recoil control. Still pretty accurate, but as you can see, we got a little bit of side-to-side bounce. I'm trying to mitigate for it, and that bloom gets big. But you put all this on, all of a sudden, this bad boy just does not move. Does not move. Oh, baby. Ferro Burletta. Look at this. Let me just load it up real quick. So, Ferro, then weapon swap. We have our Burletta. And then, boom, I need my Ferro. Got my Ferro. So basically what the playstyle is, you know, you got your Ferro out, you want to scope in, take your shot, and then not pull out your melee. Let's try that again. Let's try that again. Scope in, take your shot, whip out that Burletta. Finish him off. Extra bullet velocity, like I said, you can see. Those bullets travel way faster. Oh, I don't have any ammo. Let me get some more ammo real quick. Again, if it's stuttering when I turn my camera around, I apologize in advance. I'm going to show you how this Burletta looks with no extended barrel. I'm going to shoot like way out there. And you can see it's got a noticeable travel time. So beaming at range with this is a pain in the ass. But the extended barrel, way faster, man. And you can see that dummy's like 30 meters away. We are getting a bit of bloom, but we're hitting shots. We're hitting shots. And that recoil, that extra recoil this barrel gives us, really not hard to manage at all. And then the last weapon combination, the Stitcher and the Renegade. So basically what I was talking about here with the Renegade dispersion. Let's load up our guns real quick here. As you'll notice, because we have that padded stock on, put a clip in this. So you'll see what I was talking about with that dispersion is like when I'll shoot a stationary target. So when I shoot up, there's that time it takes to rescope and recenter. But basically, as you can tell, my gun recenters basically by the time I'm ready to fire my next shot. So it's super easy to stay on track. Now, if we take off the padded stock here, look how much more difficult this is. Now I'm going to just keep max firing. As you can see, like it takes a long time for our reticle to shrink back. So we're way less accurate because whenever you're shooting with the circle, like the bullet could go anywhere in this circle. So without the stock, you can see it takes us a while. That's why if you're using a kinetic converter or something, or if you're using a compensator, you can use like a lightweight stock instead. But if you're using the padded stock, you literally just ball out with the suppressor on this gun. And then we'll go back here with our stock, and it's so easy to just stay on track, man. Like as you can see, like it makes follow-up shots on the Renegade so damn easy. And then for the Stitcher, we'll take off the padded stock, and we'll take off the comp, and we'll take off the grip. And now I'm gonna just look at that thing 30 meters away. I'm just gonna clip dump it and see how the recoil is. Oh my god! Oh my god! That is fucking ass, guys. That is the most ass recoil I've ever seen. But now, if you have a padded stock on your Stitcher with a compensator and an angle grip too, let's see how it is now. God damn. The difference is night and fucking day. You should not be doing this at 30 meters with the Stitcher, but with a padded stock and a compensator and an angle grip too. And these aren't even the best attachments. You could go up angle grip 3 or compensator 3. This is just with the green attachments for affordability and that padded stock. So guys, definitely try to put a padded stock on your Stitcher. It makes a huge difference. Oh, hold on, one more. Well, just one more. Oh baby, oh baby, oh my god. Oh, even hip firing, bro. We're fucking accurate. I'm just shooting from the hip. Fucking baller, guys. Like, why is my Stitcher so accurate? I don't know, but I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, it's so satisfying, guys. So satisfying. But anyways, friends, let's get back and we'll break down the rest of the augments. We've been talking about weapons for like half this video, but I felt like that was something fun and important to talk about. But now we'll share the rest of the top 5 augments and how to build them and close out the video, my friends. All right, coming in at our number 2 spot is going to be the TAC MK3 defensive augment. This gives you 20 looting spots, only 1 safe pocket, which is regrettable. But why this is coming at the level 2 spot, fun fact, my number 2 spot and my number 3 spot were pretty much tied with the number 2 spot, but I'm putting this one at number 2 because it opens up a different variety of play style and a different level of fun. So the 2 good things about this augment: 1, it's a built-in shield recharger. Also, you can use your shield rechargers while running, which is also fun. But the built-in shield recharger in this augment comes in clutch for some reasons we're going to explain here in a second. But also, you can run a heavy shield on this augment. So I know there's at least 1 or 2 of you heavy shield users out there in the audience, and this is the juggernaut of augments. If you're just trying to be one big, thick, tanky boy and use the epic shields because fuck it, you got them and you can afford them, this augment is for you. Now, disclaimer: heavy shield, medium shields, they do reduce your movement speed. Heavy shield reduces it by 15%. So if you are going to run this setup, you definitely want to make sure your skill tree is maxed out on use to the weight. Getting this to level 5 significantly reduces how slow you are running with the medium and heavy shields, so that it doesn't really feel painful. Like if you don't have this perk leveled up to 5, it's going to feel awful using a heavy shield, but if you have it at level 5, the movement debuff, while it is noticeable, it's nothing super crazy. So this is like your big tanky boy. Whether you're going in to fight Arc or just be a PvP menace, you want to be running this with a heavy shield. It'll make you tankier against the Arc, it'll make you tankier against players. If I'm going for a PvP setup, I'd bring in Arpeggio, I'd bring this Toro, at least 3 or 4 clips when you're running the Arpeggio because you go through ammo quick, especially if you have to shoot in the arc, or you can mitigate that by bringing in the 5 secret grenades like we talked about earlier. And then 2 clips of shotgun should be plenty. But the best part about this augment is this is the only augment I bring Surge Shield Rechargers for, because Surge Shield Rechargers, it's 5 seconds to use it, but he instantly heals 50 shield. Normal Shield Rechargers repair 40 shield over time, but this one is an instant 50, and they're also expensive. But what sucks about Surge Shield Rechargers on any other augments, like when you use them, you're only getting 50 back. Like, I mean, if you're using it on a light shield, sure, you can top off your entire light shield and some extra, but I would never use these for light shields. If you use it on a medium shield, you still have 30 shield left you need to get back, or 20 shield left you need to get back to top off. And I'm using it on a heavy shield because this does give us 80 charge. Like we said with medium shields, those are 70 charge, but heavy shields are 80. So you have 80 damage where you're taking 52.5% reduced damage. This shit is clutch. But the annoying thing is, like, whenever you top off, you heal 50 of your shield with a surge shield recharger, so you still have 30 left. That's where the free shield recharger built into the augment comes in, because you could just use one surge shield recharger and then use your augment's free shield recharger to top off your shield, and hopefully by the next time you take damage, your cooldown is back on your free shield recharger. It's way better to do it this way. Feels way more fluid than trying to bring surge shield rechargers in and then just normal shield rechargers or arc parasols just to top off that little bit of shield you have left. Nah, screw that. Just bring the surge shield rechargers in. This is the augment for it. And like I said, everything staple, primary healing item. Fun fact, if you are using these because it's like 5-second use time, I do like to bring sterilized bandages in with this kind of build, just because you can use the bandage. This will heal you over time. It's really quick to use, 1.5 seconds. And then while you're healing with the sterilized bandage, you can then just be charging up your surge shield recharger to top up on your shield. And then you're just up 50 health, up 50 shield, and you're basically back in the fight. And then you can top up with a bandage if you need to. Like I said, grenade of choice, last slot, bandages. This isn't really going to change from augment to augment, except for our next one, which is kind of an exception. But if you bring in the Arpeggio in, if you're not bringing secret grenades, I'd probably bring 4 clips of medium ammo. But if you are bringing the secret grenades, you can kind of use these to deal with the arc, so you can spare your ammo for like PvP or PvE. Or if you're going with the PvE setup, like the Kettle and the hole cracker, just make sure you bring like 2 or 3 clips for the hole cracker, and same with the legendary guns. But this bad boy here is going to take the slot for number 2 best augment, and now we're going to go into our number 3, which is a fun one. All right, coming in at the number 3 spot is going to be the TAC MK3 healing augment. What this does for you now, you aren't going to have as many looting spots. It's only 16 spots, and you won't have as much carry weight with this augment. But when you're bringing this in, you're not bringing this augment in to loot. You're bringing this augment in to benefit from the play style that it affords you. Now, what this augment does, when you revive from being down, you release a healing cloud, which restores 20 health over 10 seconds, which is actually kind of nice. When you get up after using someone revives you, you basically almost get not fully healed, but you just need like an herbal bandage, then you can top off and basically be back to full health. It's really fun when it happens, but that's not the reason you're bringing it in. The reason you're bringing it in is because it gives you 3 augmented slots for medical items. You do lose one of the quick use slots from the other tier 3 augments. You don't have as many, but you don't need as many when you have all these to put your healing items in. So this is basically going to fit either one, you want to bring a lot of utility in a raid if you're PvPing, or 2, you're playing the medic. If you're in PvE and you just want to go full medic mode and just rescue the lobby, this is the perfect augment for you. Or if you're just the medic on your team and you're basically just staying back with a sniper or like a renegade while your boys are going in, and you just want to be there with the defibs and everything on hand to get your boys up. This is the augment. And why it's so fun is because you get so many extra slots, because what we could literally do here is, instead of having all these items here, we can put our shield rechargers there. We can put our stim shots there. We can do our bandages there. I do love this loadout on Stellamontis. If I am on Stellamontis, I might leave. If I'm not on Stellamontis, if I'm on a normal map, I might leave the stim shots. But what I do love with this augment is bringing at least 2 defibs in the spot. That way you have it instant on your quick use slot. You don't have to do the, half the time you bring defibs in there in your backpack or your safe pocket, and then you got to like swap them in before using them. But in a high pressure situation, or if your team's getting fucking wiped out, you want your defibs on tap. The only downside with this, because you get so many quick use slots, I'll talk about this here in a second, is that if you do die, you're gonna lose a lot of gear. So this is for my semi-rich boys who've got the gear to lose. But basically, you could either put your stims in there, you could bring your defibs if you're trying to PvP. But the cool thing about this augment is that because we have these 3 augments to put our mandatory shield rechargers, our extra bandages, our defibs, or our stim shots, I usually keep my primary healing item in the same slot. We have a lot more slots open, so you can literally bring in some utility. So what I like to do with this, man, if I have these extra slots, I'll bring in like, a couple smokes. Smokes are good for getting away from the arc, getting out of shitty PvP situations. Honestly, like 2 or 3 smokes, pop a smoke, then go in and get the defib, and then you rescued your team, you saved the day. And then you could also bring in either like another stack of grenades. You could bring in some showstopper grenades to stun people or stun the arc. This is where this loadout really excels, because it gives you all these slots to play with, because you can put your basically mandatory like medical items here on this bar. which frees up 3 more slots. So you could bring in some showstoppers, some smoke grenades, some trigger grenades, light impact grenades, sea grenades, literally whatever tickles your fancy, you can bring it in. And that's where this loadout shines, because this gives you so much utility. Like, I wish there were more augments with way more like quick use spots, but it seems like 5 and then occasionally a utility spot is a limit for a lot of these augments. But with this one, because you get these 3 slots for medical items, which you're always going to have at least 3 medical items, even if we didn't run stims and we just had our primary healing item, our shield rechargers, and our extra bandages here, we still have these extra slots to play with to literally put whatever you want in them, guys. So this is going to be for my medics out there, my support players, for anybody who wants to just get clutch defibs in PvP situations to save your team. Just smoke and defib, run in. Excellent combination, especially on Stella. Having a couple showstoppers are perfect. You can stun the shredder, just run straight past them. Love it, love it, love it. Again, with weapon combinations, any of the 5 weapon combinations we talked about are fine. I know I went through my top 5, but that's by no means. The beautiful thing about Arc Raiders is there's a lot of great guns. Bobcats, Tempest. I tried to keep my weapon combinations kind of in the lower tier of weapons for like really good, more affordable across the board. Don't feel too bad when you lose them combinations, but there's a ton of good guns. Even the Torrente in the right situations is great. Like everything, almost every gun in this game is pretty viable, except the Hairpin. Hairpin's definitely kind of ass. But even if I didn't mention your weapons in this video, that doesn't mean they're not good weapons. And if I don't mention an augment in this video, it doesn't mean it's not a good augment. But anyways, moving forward. And if you made it to this part of the video, we've been talking for quite a while. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. And anyways, we'll go into the number 4 augment. All right, boys, coming in at the number 4 best augment, it's going to be the looting MK3 Cautious. This augment, when your shield breaks, it'll release a stim shot, which is nice to replenish your stamina, but this is not really the reason you're using it. Also, it comes with free binoculars included. Also, not the reason you're using it. This augment screams loot goblin. We all get to those points where we just need to refill. This is an augment I would bring in for PvP. This is specifically a regoop, refill your inventory loadout, or even PvE just for all the looting spots you get with this. You could use this for PvP. You got a lot of space to goop stuff off bodies, but you only have that light shield, so you're going to be a little weak compared to the sweatier people with the medium and the heavy shields out there. But this screams loot goblin. You get 24 looting slots and 2 safe pockets and 5 quick use slots and those free binoculars. Now, if we compare this to our Survivor augment, Survivor gives us 20 spots and 3 safe pockets and the 1 utility spot. So if we count that extra safe pocket and that utility spot, which doesn't really count because you're not always going to find a utility item, that's 22 slots. The MK3 Cautious, this is like loot goblin. This is like, you just want to goop literally everything. You need your duct tape, you need your springs, you need a stack of metal, you need some chemicals, whatever the hell you need. If you're just trying to get out there and goop as much as you possibly can, take this with you. It doesn't have the carry weight as the Survivor. Survivor has an 80 kg carry weight. This has 70 kg, but also another pro tip in your skill tree, if you have these talents, broad shoulders, get that 5 out of 5. That's 10 extra kgs you can carry, and loaded arms, which reduces the weapon encumbrance weight, like your guns that you have equipped are less weight. You are never going to be over cucumbered, like ever, ever, ever. And then the best gun to put here, like I said earlier, we talked about the anvil. The gun that just does it all. Okay in PvP, really good for PvE, but where the anvil shines is because if you bring an anvil, 1, it's cheap. 2, you only have to bring 1 gun and 1 clip of ammo, and you have the rest of these 23 spots to loot goop. You have your second weapon slot to fill with another gun that you find in the field. You do got these 2 safe pockets if you want to put something in that safe pocket. Like I said, always bring a hatch key. And then when it comes to our quick uses, this is the only augment I will usually just bring, like a stack of herbal, some shield rechargers, some adrenaline shots, some kind of grenades, and you could bring the sea grenades or the bandages like we talked about, or you can leave this blank just to get an extra grenade you find just to put into that slot, so that way you can carry as much as possible. This screams loot goblin, and even though the Survivor is so awesome, I still frequently find myself bringing this augment in just when I really need to regoop and refill my inventory and get as many things as possible, because it sucks sometimes when you have to like pick and choose, like, what do I want that, or do I want that? Do I need this? Do I need that? Or I kind of need all of these, but I don't know what to drop. You don't have to deal with that when you're running an MK3 Cautious, so you can just goop it all, baby. Just goop it all. And now let's get into our 5th augment for this video, and then we'll close it out, boys. All right, coming in at our number 5 spot is actually not even a tier 3 augment. It's a tier 2 augment, the tactical MK2 augment. Now, This loadout will suffer with your carry weight. You only have 45 kgs of carry weight, and you only have 17 spots to loot, but you're not bringing this augment in to do a lot of looting and gooping. This is for your budget PvP setup. If you're doing PvE and you're trying to loot, I probably wouldn't recommend this, but if you're strictly going in for PvP and you need like a more budget option, you don't have processors or anything for your tier 3 augments, and you're looking for something formidable that's still fun, or you're just trying to do some, you know, semi-kitted out Stella runs, Tactical MK2 is for you, because when your shield breaks with this augment, you deploy a small little smoke grenade at your feet, and so many times that'll give you enough time just to get to cover, to make it to safety, to just not flat out die on the spot. It's just such a useful thing that happens. But also, this is one of the only blue augments that gives you 5 quick use slots and an extra augmented slot you can use for zip lines or mines or some kind of utility you want to bring in with your barricade kits, you name it, whatever. So I love this augment. You also get to run a medium shield with it, so you can rock Tactical MK2 with a medium shield. You got some decent amount of backpack space. For this, I would probably bring guns, because you don't have a lot of backpack space. I'd probably stay away from guns like the Arpeggio, where you need to bring a bunch of clips of ammo. Like if you bring in like the Renegade or something, you could bring like a clip, maybe 16, 20 more rounds just to put into the mag. There's extra in your backpack, and then a couple clips of ammo for your other gun. But if you bring like the Ferro and like the Burletta with this, it's great, guys. All you have to do is bring 1 clip of heavy. Your Ferro's fine. Clip or 2 of light ammo for the Burletta, and you are sitting pretty. You got your Ferro to deal with the arc, your Ferro to kind of get burst damage on players. Even on Stella, I like bringing a Ferro with the lightweight stock. You can just pop them and whip out that Burletta to finish the job. Fun weapon combination. Just make sure whatever weapons you put in with this loadout, you don't have to bring a shitload of ammo with, because you don't really have a ton of space on this augment. So something like an anvil, a Ferro, wherever you just need like 1 stack of like 40 heavy, and then your other gun, that's plenty. Quickie slots, again, none of this changes. We would explain that Seek Grenade is optional if you want to have something to deal with the arc. If you don't need that, if you're going strictly PvP, I wouldn't bring that. I would just bring the bandages, some nades, and then you can play around with the augmented slot. You can bring some jolt mines, you can bring some zip lines. Super fun augment, and only costs 2 magnets and a couple electrical components to make, so it's a bit cheaper than the tier 3 augments. So if you're looking for like a budget PvP option, definitely giving it to the Tactical MK2 here. And I'm going to give you guys one extra honorable mention here. I'm not going to actually craft it because I'm filling up my inventory with all of these augments right now, but we're to put a 6th augment on this video, it would be the Combat MK3 flanking. It's a slept-on augment, lets you stow and equip your pistols / hand cannons 32% faster. So this augment's great for Venator, Burletta, Anvil. But you get your 5 quick use slots, 2 safe pockets, 20 looting slots. Can only rock a light shield on this one, 60 kg, decent carrying weight. But you get those 3 utility slots. So this one out there, like if you really liked the medic augment, the combat or the tactical defensive healing augment we talked about earlier, you're probably going to love the Combat MK3 flanking. Like the perfect setup for this would be like an anvil for arc / range. I'd probably put an extended barrel on that anvil. I'd bring like a Burletta for the secondary for close quarters combat, probably put a compensator on it since our anvil isn't suppressed. So you could bring extended barrel anvil for arc and range. You could bring a Burletta with for your close range PvP light arc encounters. The weapon swap speed is crazy. You could just go anvil, Burletta, anvil, Burletta, but you get those 3 augmented slots, which means you can fill your inventory with barricade kits, door blockers, zip lines, gas mines, jolt mines, blaze grenade traps. Like this is the augment for rat. This is basically like the rat augment, because you get so many utility slots. Or this is the augment for the MacGyvers out there. If you're just trying to fuck around and you just want to bring like zip lines, barricade kits, door blockers, or just a bunch of like mines and stuff, you can just bring all that in with this kit. Like anvil and Burletta is a solid weapon combination that can handle most any situation, but then you get to bring all that free utility. So if you're just trying to be a rat, I know out there rats cringe, but if you are, this is the augment for the rats, the campers, or if you're just trying to set up a barrier or just go to Stella, I'm like, I'm gonna door block this door, I'm gonna put a barricade up over here, I'm gonna put a trap over here. Like this is a lot of fun. I love this. So this is like, as far as fun goes, the combat flanking is definitely a really fun augment. An honorable mention for this video. It doesn't quite make the top 5, but it is a very solid pick if you're one of those players out there who just really loves like the utility, like the zip mines, the barricade kits, all that kind of jazz. But anyways, guys, that is going to conclude it for this video. If you made it to the end, congratulations to you. This is probably like an hour-long video. Also, I love you, and please smash that like button so our help our channel grow. If you found value, if you learned something, let me know what you learned and discovered. Also, what are your favorite weapon combinations and augments? Did I mention them? Did I not mention them? Well, let me know in the comments down below. Until next time, my friends, have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Oh, also, I'd love to start doing some more gameplay style videos. If I can fix that stuttering on my recording, be on the lookout for some of those. But until then, I'm going to settle for these menu tutorial style videos, and I hope you guys find them enjoyable. See ya.